Driveway to Driveway, we knew was going to be one of the singles off the record. But at the same time, I feel like the popularity of that song, if popularity is a word that fits, didn't kind of happen until a while after that record came out. Like, yeah, it was a single. We made the video. It was on MTV and stuff. But I feel like it has grown in the way it's seen by fans. Driveway was another song like a Fool that I remember working out, especially the main riff on that song and the chorus as well on acoustic guitar.
Well, Driveway to Driveway was weird because it was, if I remember correctly, we actually figured it out on acoustic guitars. And if I remember correctly, it was just me, Mac, and Laura over at his house one afternoon or maybe in the morning and he had that idea. I mean, he had that riff, and that's the whole song, really, because, I mean, bass and my guitar are playing pretty much the same thing. And that chord progression just was suggested by that catchy riff that Mac is playing through the whole thing.
When I hear it and think about writing it, it seems like definitely the kind of thing where you'd be just sitting on the couch with a guitar, just kind of playing it over and over again before trying to turn it into a band song, I mean, that's a problem that I run into sometimes is writing a guitar part that I can't sing over because I can't do both things at once. So, yeah, I think it just naturally ends up that, the riff becomes the intro and then the verse becomes something I can sing over easily, which is basically just playing an E chord over and over again. And then the chorus, I mean, again, it's just, playing these parts with lots of open strings ringing and stuff like that just sound really beautiful on an acoustic guitar. And I think that, deliberately writing on an acoustic just automatically gives the songs a different feeling than past records. Writing these songs that way and recording acoustic versions of them on the 4-track was kind of the first time we had really done that. And I'd always liked it when bands like Yo La Tengo and things that we were listening to a lot of the time had different versions of the same song, that you could hear. And if a song was good, it held up in these different settings. And so, writing a song on acoustic guitar and then amplifying it for the record, but then still having this version of it that's like an acoustic version, that was very appealing at the time. And Driveway to Driveway is a good example of that, I think.
It is weird because it's a different kind of song than we had up to that point.
Driveway to Driveway, I was never a big fan of. I really found it boring to play. And I imagine when we were first recording it or first working on it, it didn't seem that boring. But by the time once you play it 100 or so times, it loses its allure. I found it plodding and boring. I am not surprised it's a fan favorite. I've come to realize that what I like is not usually what everybody else likes. It's hard for me to know what is going to be popular with people. But Driveway to Driveway is not a song I would have picked as one of those.
even if you only have one song that people want to hear every night, that'd be great. So I think that it's awesome that this song connects with people and that people still want to hear it.
I would attribute whatever kind of, life it has to the lyrics. I mean, it's pretty enough, but if the lyrics didn't speak to people, I don't think the song would still be played every night. So kudos to Mac on that.
I think it's about not so much going across country, but just like a blurry night at a music festival, basically, And the driving in question was actually in golf carts because we were at, I don't know, Glastonbury or Reading or something like that. Golf carts, not so exciting, but, kind of funny. It's not about Laura, so I can just go ahead and say that. But again, who am I to say what people take from a song? It's not, it's truly not up to me to decide that. I mean, we made a video for it, so it was a single, obviously, off the record, and that we made two videos from this record at the same time, and our friends Peyton Reed and Phil Morrison, who are both great directors and both from North Carolina, they must have come up with this idea together where they were both going to collaborate on both videos, though one of them would kind of be like slightly more like the director for one and the other person for the other one. So Phil Morrison was kind of like the lead director, I guess you'd say, on the video for the first part. And then Peyton Reed, who has an affinity for what this video is based on, is essentially like the Philadelphia Story or movies like that. Peyton Reed took the lead on the Driveway to Driveway video. And we filmed them both. Could we have filmed them both in the same weekend? I don't know. I feel like it was both over the same few days in different sites around Chapel Hill. And, Driveway to Driveway is filmed at like a frat house on the UNC campus, which is supposed to be like a mansion, in the video or whatever. And there's a lot of people involved, especially in the Driveway to Driveway video, because there's like kind of like party scenes,
We did the first part video and Driveway to Driveway video on successive weekends. And at that time, there was like the viability of getting played on MTV and having that be a real like boost to like sales and live ticket sales. Like it was in our minds that we wanted to promote the record and to like do the work that it took to reach more people. The concept of like, oh, they didn't want to be popular, that's why they didn't sign to a major label, or like they didn't want to sell out. It's like, it wasn't a question of not selling out. It was we wanted to sell as many records as humanly possible, wanted to like play the largest shows humanly possible. We just didn't want to do it through a system that we found kind of like corrupt. We wanted to like achieve success on our own terms. It was never a question of like, oh, we don't want to like sell records. So anyway, so we're making these two videos and they were fairly, big productions. I mean, a lot of people were involved, professional filmmakers, we weren't screwing around. We wanted to like really, go for it.
when when we made the video for Driveway to Driveway. So something that happened during recording at Pachyderm with Brian Paulson was he and I started flirting, and we wound up in a relationship. And he was actually coming to visit me when we were making the video for Driveway to Driveway.
During the mixing process, I think is when I started to notice that like Brian and Laura were kind of starting a relationship. And so I'm like, great, now we're like, you know what I mean? Like, you're going to start going out with the guy producing this record. And we're stuck in an attic together for 5 days or however long, you know what I mean? So the end of the process was kind of like that. But, you know, we all loved Brian, so it wasn't like a problem. But I remember thinking like, oh, one more like, you know, wrench in this whole situation.
There was definitely a chemistry between them. It was awkward, definitely, I guess. Much more so for Mac. I don't know. For me, if I was being honest, I was probably like, you know, Mac's a good friend of mine and Laura's a good friend of mine. And it definitely would have been like, oh, this is weird. You know, like, I wish this wasn't happening right now.
The video shoot, the dates being set for that happened after I had planned for Brian to come visit me. So it was poorly timed. I was not happy about it. And I think that I did not have the best time shooting the video for Driveway to Driveway. Though Peyton was always really fun. He directed it. Peyton Reed directed it, who like came up with a fun concept, definitely, for the video, and really rallied people to come out and dress up in old style outfits. And I mean, I wish I had been more engaged in the whole process because it could have been really fun, but I was mad. I was mad a lot back then.
Laura playing Mac's girlfriend in the Driveway to Driveway video is definitely, I mean, you would think that was a really bad idea. You know, on paper, it looks horrible. But in reality, I think it kind of diffused. I mean, to a degree, it kind of diffused the conjecture about like what's going on between those two, you know, like it's sort of like, okay, well, we can do this and maybe laugh about it, even though in reality it was not funny and there was definitely tension.
I think at the time we were just like rolling with it, even though obviously, you know, Peyton and Phil knew that was going to be a talking point or whatever, you know, a thing in the video, but I don't remember it being weird or hard or anything like that. Because it had been a while since we had broken up by the time we were making that.
It was enough time that Brian and I were going out. And I think it certainly didn't make anything any easier between Mac and I.